Jesus conquered the grave. Take me as you find me, all my fears and failures. Fill my life again. I give my life to follow everything I believe in. Now I surrender. Now I surrender. He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save forever. Author of salvation. He rose in the grave. And Jesus conquered the grave. Shine your light. Shine your light and let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King. Jesus, shine your light and let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save forever. Author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. Shine your light. Shine your light and let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King, the only King Jesus. Shine your light and let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King. Great singing. You may be seated.
All right, yeah, you guys can be seated. Hey, kids, so here's the deal. Older kids, you guys are staying in here for sure. If you are, if you're second grade or under, and you just don't think you can sit through listening about dinosaurs this morning, then you are welcome to go with Miss Crystal to the other building for some children's church time. So that is up to you. Parents, you know your kids. So, if you want to go, you are welcome to go. Crystal's going to take the little ones. In the back of the room, we have coffee, we have donuts, we have water in the fridge. So at this point in the time, we're going to stop our regular service, and we are going to invite Dr. Carter to come. And Dr. Carter works for Creation Ministries International. He also has been in the Keys for many, many times, and I'm sure I don't know how much of that will come out in his talk, but he graduated from University of Miami some time ago, so you guys that are UM fans, you should like him right off the bat, right? But he's going to come and share with us this morning, and so I would encourage you guys, give Dr. Carter a warm welcome this morning, and then we will see you guys again at 11 o'clock.
Thanks, Jonathan. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Robert Carter. I'm very happy to see you. This is a bit of a homecoming for me. I cannot tell you how many hundreds of times I've driven past your church and had no idea of any of the people that lived here. Because I am a coral reef ecologist. I can't tell you how many times gone scuba diving on these reefs. I lost count after 500. So 600, I don't know. But here I am. I'm going to talk on the first one, so I'm going to hit the button there. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. Now I can get to my talk. Come on, there, yes. I've been 45 minutes. I have too much to say. I cannot possibly say, so at the end I'm probably just going to skip a bunch of slides. But I'm going to talk about a very popular topic, a very challenging topic, something that has wrecked the faith of many Christians and encouraged some Christians. What I'm going to try to do is lay out this fascinating topic called dinosaurs and try to answer a bunch of questions using the Bible to see if actually the Bible can handle what seems to be a giant challenge. So we're going to wrestle with age. We're going to wrestle with evolution. We're going to wrestle with, did dinosaurs have feathers? Did birds evolve from dinosaurs? Some of the questions are going to be really easy to answer, and some of them are going to be a little difficult. And a couple of them I'm going to say, I don't know, because I don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know, and it's okay not to know some things, but we should be able to build a pretty good case for a position we might have. But the reason I want to end this before 11 o'clock is because I want to get into my second message, which is a gospel message that is much more important than rocks. We tend to get lost in this evolution creation debate by shouting facts and figures at people. That is not the purpose of this. The purpose is that we are confident in our faith, so we're much more likely to share our faith with other people. And if they ask us a question about dinosaurs or time or something like that, maybe we have a reasonable answer for them. It's not about numbers and bones. Let me start off with a question for you. Which of these creatures have been on Earth the longest? The bird, the dolphin, the dinosaur, or the fish? Who says fish? Who says dinosaur? Dolphin? Bird? Really? Interesting. Who says none of the above? Okay, I want to train you with something very important. When we see a question, you don't just answer the question. You say, wait a minute, what does the question mean? Why are they asking me the question? Is this a loaded question? Yeah, this is a trick question. The question is assuming that some things have been on Earth longer than others. And if you're a good evolutionist, you would have said fish. If you didn't understand evolution, you might say dinosaurs. Oh, dinosaurs are old. No, that's not the order of things according to Charles Darwin. Fish, reptiles, mammals, and birds. That's the evolutionary order. What's the biblical order? Well, the Bible gives a very straightforward account of God creating the universe in just 6 calendar days, consecutive calendar days, a few thousand years ago. Now, like it or not, that is the first page of your Bible. And in that, we learn that God created all the swimming critters and all the flying critters one day before He created all the land animals. So the pelican, the dolphin, and the fish would be one day older than the dinosaur. That's the biblical answer. Is that true or not? That's something we're going to have to wrestle with, and we're going to see if maybe that might be or maybe not be. Now, see, I'm trying to be, I don't want to come down on the side of this is absolutely true. That is not my style. I'm very much a let's walk together, let's try to answer some questions together. I don't like shouting at people. I don't like saying you're absolutely wrong. That's not the way it goes. And one of the reasons for that, because I used to not believe this. And the people that I ran into that started working with me, they didn't yell at me. They said, okay, what about this? And how about this? Let's answer these questions together. And that's the way I'm going to try to approach this, because I already know with a group this size, not everyone agrees with even what you think I might know. It's not true. So my purpose is here to encourage, not to berate. That's just for the record. Okay, what's a dinosaur? What is a dinosaur? Is it just a big lizard? No, because they're little dinosaurs. Is it... When I was a kid, I used to think, well, the Bible says that people live for hundreds of years. What if an iguana lived for hundreds of years? Would it turn into a T-Rex? The answer is absolutely not. Because we have baby T-Rexes. We know what they look like. And dinosaurs have a unique shape. In fact, all the dinosaurs... The thing you think of when you think dinosaurs, not the things that lived in the water, and not the things that flew. Those are the pterosaurs. They're different. But the dinosaurs proper, their legs, they stood up, very much like you do. You stand up. Alligators, crocodiles, all sorts of lizards running around out here. What do? Their legs stick out to the side. So if you go out to the Everglades and you get chased by an alligator, what do? They stand up, they run like this, and when they get tired, because this takes muscles to hold up their body. Dinosaurs, they could stand very comfortably. That's what makes a dinosaur. I bet you didn't know that. But snakes, I know what that is, buried with dinosaurs. So here's a giant question. What happened to the dinosaurs? Why only the dinosaurs died out? How come all the things that live with dinosaurs, including butterflies, are... I'm sorry, no one knows the answer to that question. Evolutionist creationists, it is a giant mystery. Because ecologically, what's the story we hear about of the extinction of the dinosaurs? A big meteor hit the earth, right? That's the most common. Does anyone know when that was? According to the evolutionary model, 65 million years ago. That's the end of the Cretaceous era before things that led into modern times. It's called the KT or the KPG boundary. Okay. How could a giant cataclysm kill off one group of reptiles and not all the other groups of reptiles? You see, scientists, myself included, we pretend to be very confident. We don't like to talk about things we don't know answers to. So when you read National Geographic or you watch, the Natural Geo channel or anything like that, they're telling you things they're confident about and they're not telling you the things they don't know. And it is a persuasive and powerful way of communicating. And what we know, I'm not a paleontologist, I'm not a fossil expert, I'm a marine biologist, geneticist. I know that stuff really well. What about, I have to trust authority? What if the authority doesn't know as much as I think he knows? Okay, look at this picture. How many species? Well, actually, those are 11 different genera of ceratopsid dinosaurs. But I don't know how many species are there because they're all dead. How do we define what a species is? If two things can interbreed, they're the same species, right? So, wolves and dogs, one species. Lions and tigers, one species. Lions and wolves, two different species. They can't intermate. How many species are standing here on the grass? That's the world's largest dog, standing next to the world's smallest dog. Now, Charles Darwin tells us it takes millions of years because species change very slowly. If a paleontologist found bones of these animals in the rocks, there's no way they would put them in the same species. No way. And yet we know they're the same species. See, here's a problem. In paleontology, we don't have living animals. We don't know, and we cannot know because we can't do a breeding experiment with an extinct animal. But when we look at things like this, and we consider things like this, maybe there aren't as many species of dinosaurs as we thought. How many species of dinosaurs do you think have been named? Millions? Thousands? A few hundred. That's the number of species, and yet the species are based on bones. In fact, if we could categorize the dinosaurs into rough groups, about say that the Noah's Ark account is actually true, and Noah really did take two of every animal on board Noah's Ark. How many dinosaurs would he have had to take? 2 times 50, about 100. Oh, that's not that bad. Look at Tyrannosaurus Rex here. Look at those 6-inch long teeth. How would he have originally been described? As an herbivore, a carnivore, a scavenger, or an omnivore? Who doesn't know what those words mean? Okay. Does he eat plants? Does he eat meat? Does he eat dead things? Or does he eat whatever he wants? Who says the carnivore, the fierce predator stalking the Mesozoic plains? That's what we heard, right? Great. How do we know? He's dead. We've never seen one eat. How do we know? We guess. Based on his shape, his teeth, we say this guy looks like a predator. His eyes are facing forward, not sideways, predator characteristics. Except we don't have to guess anymore. Because see, paleontologists they're smart people, and paleontology gets more sophisticated over time. Oh, sorry. See, with my computer in the back, I never quite know what slide's going to pop up. All right, so let's say it this way. Let's back up here. Wait. That's what it is. Okay. Boom. Let's say it this way. We know that some dinosaurs are eating meat. We absolutely know it. There's smashed up bones in their stomachs. There's birds or baby dinosaurs. I mean, we know that they were eating meat and are eating whatever they could. But if God created all things to eat plants, according to Genesis chapter 1, God tells Adam, I've given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, to every tree it shall be for food, also to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, to everything that creeps on the earth in which there's life, I've given every green herb for food. Does that include dinosaurs? No, some were eating meat. Well, the answer is also in Scripture. Even though the Bible says God created all things, that's funny, save a cow, eat a vegetarian. Whose good car case is that? That's a great bumper sticker. Perfect analogy for this. All right. Even though the Bible says God created all things to eat meat, we know things weren't eating meat. Is it a giant biblical puzzle or challenge? No. Because of Genesis chapter 3. Adam rebelled against God. And because of that, God says, because you've listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. You shall eat the plants of the field by the sweat of your face, etc., etc. What is this called? This is called the curse. This is a very, very important passage for biblical Christianity because this explains why there's suffering and death in the world. I do believe that those initial dinosaurs that God created to eat plants left their initial created order and started doing bad or not bad. They're animals. They don't have good or evil in animals. But the part of the process of dinosaurs becoming carnivores was part of the outworking of the curse over time. I know it might be theologically thick. But check this out. We've now backed up a lot. We've now discovered that most of the theropods, what are the theropods? Those guys with the big back legs and those little front legs. You know, the tyrannosaurs and those guys. Most of them were eating plants. How do we know that? Well, back in the day, when they found a dinosaur in bunch, they chisel the bones out of the rock, and they bring it back to their museum and say, oh, look at this big dinosaur. Today, they don't do that. Today, we realize that associated with that animal are what are called ghost fossils. If that is an intact animal that was buried, sometimes you can see a discoloring in the rocks, which is the outline of the animal's skin. Sometimes you can see hearts, livers, muscles in the rock. And once they realize that, they say, wait a minute, that's the stomach. And when they started examining the stomach contents of dinosaurs, they found out that most of the theropods, their stomachs were packed with plants. Whoops. Despite the sharp teeth, they're filled with plants. We know what they were eating. Not all of them, though, but many of them. Here's an example. Think of black bears. What do black bears eat? Roots and berries. They're like 99% herbivores. What do polar bears eat? Seals. Polar bears' diet is 99% meat. They're both bears. In fact, polar bears and grizzly bears can hybridize. Grizzly bears and black bears can hybridize. It's one species. They have the same tools. Those claws that a black bear uses to dig stuff up out of the ground, that's great for a polar bear to grab a seal. Same claws, same nose, same eyes, different color hair, whatever, different sizes, okay. One bear, or two bears, coming off, spreading out across the world, and little populations got separated from each other, and each little population went in a different direction to a different environment. You know what? That white coat color is adaptive. Black fur in the Arctic is a bad idea. White fur in a forest is a bad idea. But look at your hair colors in this room. I see all sorts of different hair colors. We're all the same species, aren't we? Yeah. We know, though, that some dinosaurs are eating meat. That is a Tyrannosaurus rex tooth embedded in the tailbone of a duck-billed dinosaur. And the bone healed up around the tooth, meaning it survived the attack from the tyrannosaur, and that animal was walking around the rest of his life in pain. Yet a fossil record is full of horrible things. Charles Darwin, he looked at the fossil record, and he said, how could a good and loving God have created that? But what does the Bible say? It says God did not create that. Man created that. It was man's rebellion against God that caused the curse that led to the outworking of all this horrible stuff and that we now see in the fossil record. Okay, wait a second. If the Bible is actually accurate and we have to explain dinosaurs, that means dinosaurs would have had to live with man. They would have been killed in Noah's flood. Is there any evidence that dinosaurs actually died out during a big flood? The answer to that is, so much is unbelievable. You've seen pictures of dinosaurs like this. Remember the original Jurassic Park movie? The opening scene, they go boom, and they have this TV screen, they have a velociraptor, and he's in that position. Classic. It's called the dead dinosaur posture. When we find an attacked dinosaur, almost always he's in that position. Why? When a squirrel dies out here in a field or in the woods, they don't go like this. And so it was a big mystery. So for a long time, people said, oh, this is asphyxiation. These animals are suffocating, and they're going, That was the idea. But that didn't make much sense. And then several summers ago, a paper came out. Some scientists were studying chickens. And they realized if you take a dead chicken and you put him in water, his neck does that. And they started saying, wait a minute, what is going on? And they realized that animals that have a long neck, a long tail, most of them have this structure called the ligamentum elasticum, the elastic ligament. It runs from the base of the skull, down the spine, and down the tail. It's a big rubber band. So a big dinosaur didn't necessarily need muscles to hold his head up. He had a big rubber band. Smart. That's brilliant. He had this thing, he's holding his head up. What happens if that animal drowns? He's dead now, and he doesn't weigh as much, right? So he doesn't weigh as much, but that rubber band is still pulling back. And now the evolutionary paleontologists are looking at this as evidence of drowning. That's awesome. Why are most of the intact dinosaurs clearly the result of drowning? These are land animals, remember. All right. Are dinosaurs in the Bible? No, it wasn't invented until, just over 200 years ago. Actually, less than 200 years ago. 150 years ago, we'll say. It's not that old a word, and we've had the Bible in English for a long time before that. But there are some places in the Bible that a very strange word is used. In fact, this word in Hebrew called tanin. Sometimes it's translated jackal, sometimes it's translated sea monster. Translators wrestle with this word. But the best description of the word basically is giant reptile lizardy thing. Or maybe dragon. Now, I use that word carefully because most people think dragons, they think fire-breathing, magic spell casting. That is not the historical view. Historical view of dragons, they were smaller than a cow. Most of them could be killed with a spear, but they're really big reptiles. And we have dragon stories from all over the world. In fact, we know more about dragons in history than we know about horses. Horses are a lot more important for history. But we don't know where horses came from. But dragons, sometimes the description, if you put, we know where they lived, we know what they looked like, we know what they ate, we know how they behaved, and all of those things fit dinosaurs. They fit very well, actually, but it's not possible. Dinosaurs died out millions of years ago, right? Now, I'm not saying that Job 40 is describing an Ankylosaurus. I just had room and I put the picture there. Okay. The Bible, though, does have a couple of places that it describes some very strange animal. And this is right after God is chastising Job for all these things Job doesn't know, but it's all these real things. And then he goes, behold, Job, behold, behemoth. Stop. When you see a non-English word in an English Bible, sorry, not all of you might be native English speakers. I am. I'm just going to roll with it. Roll with me, right? All right. When you see a non-native word in your translation of your Bible, what do? You stop, you say, let's define that word. Behold, behemoth. Behold, the beast of beasts, which I made as I made you. That's a reference to Creation Week, day 6. He eats grass like an ox, so the beast of beasts is an herbivore. He's very strong. He's got strength in his loins and things like that. He's got this giant tail. He hangs his tail, or he makes his tail stiff like a cedar. Doesn't matter what translation you look at, they all say, like a cedar. That's very strange. Are there cedar trees in the Keys? There are cedar trees in Florida, up north, little scrubby things. Where I live in Georgia, old fields, they usually grow up in cedars. Just little scrubby trees. It's not very impressive, except if we put this into a Middle Eastern context, the cedar trees are the largest trees in the Middle East. God could have said oak, acacia, terebinth, palm, and there's like 80 trees mentioned in the Bible, but he picked the biggest one. So in American context, he's got a tail like a sequoia. You know exactly what that would mean if that word was used, right? Now, I don't know that Job 40 is describing sauropod dinosaurs, but the largest land animals that God created deserve the title beasts of beasts. They were herbivores, they were really strong, and they had a giant tail. That's a really good candidate right there. But notice I said, I don't know. Why do I not know? Because I don't have a time machine. There are things we cannot know, but it doesn't mean we cannot make a reasonable case for it. Next question. Does Noah have a problem? How we can get dinosaurs on Noah's Ark? Well, let me give you several possibilities. First of all, within each group of dinosaurs, the 50 basic groups, there are small species and big species. There are little theropods. There are little ceratopsids. And then there's the big ones. We don't know which one Noah brought on the ark. God brought them to Noah. He said, take these on the ark. Okay. We don't know which ones. Could have been a small version, or it could have been junior. Dinosaurs are hatched from eggs, and I don't think Noah took eggs on the ark. But if you took a hatchling, if you took a teenager, he doesn't have to take great-great-granddaddy Apatosaurus who's near the end of his life. I don't know if that's true either. It's a possibility. But he only has to take about 100 dinosaurs. And if we consider the size of Noah's Ark, there is plenty of room, even for 100 full-grown dinosaurs. So the problem isn't really a problem. It could be easier, but even at the worst case, we're okay. Oh, by the way, the average size dinosaur is about the size of a cow. Average. The average size animal, including all the extinct animals, is about the size of a pony or less. Most animals are actually small, and then a few of them are really big, and they skew the average, like elephants. Okay. But what happened to the dinosaurs? Would it surprise you to learn that all the largest land animals that have ever lived are now extinct? That species today are smaller than they used to be? Did you know that? No, the evolutionist says, evolutionary pressure, blah, blah, blah. No, this is actually math. Think about it. If you have a group of animals that are all related to one another, but there's different sizes and different ages of maturation, the one that has to grow larger before it reproduces is going to be out-reproduced by the one who reproduces earlier. So if you had like a dinosaur that matures at age 10 versus a dinosaur that matures by the age of 20, this guy just had his first baby, and this one's already a grandfather. And if that spreads out, all species should be driving toward earlier and earlier reproductive ages. But if for some reason a species can't do it, they're not going to make it. Plus, if you're going to be big, you have to eat a lot. If you have to eat a lot, you can't survive climate cycles. You can't survive a drought. There's always pressure to kill off the biggest things. That right there might explain what happened to the dinosaurs without anything else. Just ecology and math. But wait a second. If God really did create dinosaurs, and they really were living with man, oh, come on. Didn't they die out millions of years ago? Well, what if that's not true? What would you expect to see? Well, I'd expect to see some evidence for it, wouldn't you? Well, how about this? I already said there's dragon legends all over the world. Check out this one. This is the tomb of a man named Bell. He was a bishop of Carlisle in England. His tomb, they actually keep a carpet across this so people walking across his tomb for 600 years. And you can see that some of it, this brass band that goes around the outside of it, some of it's like worn off and is replaced and fixed. But in this brass band are all of these animals that you will identify. Do you see a bat? Do you see a dog? Do you see a fish? Do you see a bird? Anyone disagree with me there? In fact, I think you could probably drill down. That's a specific kind of dog and bird and fish. That's not just a generic, that's a wading bird, by the way. Look at that guy. That obviously is a wading bird. That's probably a carp. So what do we do when we see this right next to those? That looks very much, now it's all worn down, I got that. But that looks like two sauropod dinosaurs with their necks wrapped around each other, and this guy's got spikes on his tail. There's one species of sauropod dinosaur we've ever discovered that has spikes on his tail. That might be accurate to the species level. And close to that is this thing. I don't know what that is, but it's not a pig. In fact, he's got a long, toothy, sort of ceratopsid sort of snout maybe, and what on earth is going on? In fact, that two sauropod dinosaurs with their necks wrapped around each other, that's a really common motif in ancient artwork. We see that a lot. Where did people get this idea from? Proportionally, that looks like a Tanystropheus. That's a really good candidate for a known species. And then we have in the jungles of Cambodia, hundreds of years before they discovered dinosaurs, for modern discovery of dinosaurs. There's an old temple, and in that temple, there's all these carvings all over this place. This is one particular lintel of one particular door in this temple complex, and there's two people. There's a water buffalo, there's a duck, and then there's this thing. What does that look like to you? First impression. Looks like a stegosaurus. Now, it's not quite perfect. His head is a little odd. His frill is not quite there. But look at... Did the people in Angkor Wat in ancient Cambodia know what a stegosaurus looked like? All right. I was talking to my son once, and he said something. He was about 5. I said, "Hey, Ethan, when did that happen?" He goes, "Oh, Dad, back in the age of dinosaurs." Well, obviously, our culture talks about the age of dinosaurs because my son picked it up. Age of dinosaurs. Was there a time when the world was dominated by dinosaurs? You've seen pictures like this, though, right? Look at that. There's no birds. There's no mammals. There's no grass. Yeah. I should have a picture of it, but I didn't think about that. This is a funny story. I was taught for a long time grasses did not evolve until about 30 million years ago. Now, granted, I don't believe the Earth's that old. I'm just using the evolutionary numbers just so you understand what we're talking about. So grasses did not evolve until about 30 million years ago. Dinosaurs died out 60 million years ago, 65 million years ago. That's a big difference, isn't it? Well, when scientists started studying dinosaur dung, let me throw that out at you again. Have you ever walked out in the backyard and tripped over a fossilized doggy mess? No, that stuff doesn't turn to stone, does it? No, a couple of days and it's gone. We have thousands upon thousands of fossilized dinosaur dung piles. What a mystery that is. Why does this stuff turn to rock? Okay. But when scientists started cutting them in half and polishing them and looking at them under a microscope, what a great job. They said, lo and behold, all of the modern families of modern grasses are in dinosaur dung. So even though they're not in the fossil record anywhere else, until recently, we know that grasses fully developed into all the modern varieties were with dinosaurs because they were eating them. Oh, what does that tell us about the fossil record? That some things get preserved well and some things don't. And we've got to be careful when we make conclusions based on stuff that might not be true. So that's not right. Watch this. First of all, I remember as a young man being absolutely convinced that evolution was true. And I remember seeing pictures like this. This is from 1999. Now I'm already out of college by now, and I didn't believe in evolution anymore, but this is a common thing that I would have used before that. Look at this. We have all these dinosaurs. Here's the fossil record going back in time, and look, they all go back to a common ancestor. Isn't that proof of evolution? Well, I would have thought it was. But this tree is funny because if you cover up everything they actually don't know, you're left with 50 family sticks. Now, within each group, there might be a diversity of species. Fine. But you've heard the phrase missing link, right? Does it surprise you to learn that there's missing links between most every group of animal in the fossil record? It's not just between man and monkeys. The greatest evolutionary leaps in evolutionary technology actually are spanned by the fewest number of species. Once we get something alive, yeah, it gets tinkered with a little bit. But with the critical steps going from this point to that point are absent. So where's the evidence for evolution? In the minds of the evolutionist. See, we've discovered something that looks like a flying squirrel from the Mesozoic era. That's a platypus jaw. See that groove right there? That's for the giant nerve that runs up the jaw of the platypus and goes to his little electrobill, so we can look around in muddy water where we can't see and find clams and worms and stuff. By the way, if the dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago, platypuses lived with dinosaurs for 60 million years. They look just like the modern ones, except they're about twice as big. So all platypuses did in 120 million years is they shrank. Okay. How about this? This is a badger-like creature. Supposedly 130 million years ago, he's got a baby Psittacosaurus in his stomach. So not only were mammals living with dinosaurs, they were eating them also. This is a beaver-like critter. He's preserved with his hairs. This guy here is amazing. He's the size and shape of a hedgehog. Hedgehogs are unique mammals. They have very particular hairs. No other mammal in the world has hairs like a hedgehog. You've seen hedgehogs, right? This guy was preserved with his hairs. He's got hedgehog hair, which means they haven't changed for 125 million years. Wait a minute, I thought things were supposed to change over time. Isn't that what Charles Darwin taught us? And yet the record in the fossil record is no. When something appears in the fossil record, it pretty much remains unchanged until it's either alive today or it's extinct. Now within each little thing, there might be some species. It might go like this a little bit, but we don't see the jumps to the other groups. And this guy, it's one of my favorite. It's a mammal. He's got mammal teeth, he's got a mammal tail, mammal ribs, arms, and legs. Now, back in the day, they used to call, this guy's a therapsid. They used to say mammal-like reptile. Because when mammals are first evolving, and reptiles, right, there's this thing that's, the mammals split off from the reptiles, they're still kind of reptilian. The problem is this guy is a fully fledged mammal. And based on where they found it in the fossil record, the scientists concluded that the mammals originated at least in the late Triassic, but 200 million years ago. That means that mammals predates dinosaurs. Oh, the age of dinosaurs is completely wrong then. We have as many mammal species in dinosaur-era rocks as we have dinosaur species. Oh. That tree I showed you earlier of all the dinosaurs, this is the same thing. All I did was I drew these red lines and I shoved everything off to the side because I want to add mammals and birds to their data. Now this is the Mesozoic era, which is the Triassic, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous. By the way, you've all seen Jurassic Park, right? You ever realize that every single one of those dinosaurs is Jurassic? It drives me nuts to be a scientist when I'm, science fiction, you're like, oh, come on, it's Jurassic. Oh, sorry, did I say that? Cretaceous, I knew I said that wrong. Every one of those dinosaurs is Cretaceous. My joke just failed. So let's take their data and let's apply what we know about mammals. First of all, the mammal that they found, they said it must have originated back there in a Triassic. Without my computer, I did mess it up twice. I'll get back to that slide in a second. We also have birds. This is Confuciusornis. He has a beak. He's got wing claws. He's got long tail feathers. Can feathers be preserved in rocks, yes or no? Absolutely. Do dinosaurs have feathers? We'll see. But we know feathers can be preserved in rocks. Here's a modern bird called a hoatzin. They have fully functional wing claws. So claws on wings is not something necessarily means ancient or primitive bird. This is a weird bird, though. They call them the stink bird. They smell. And they've got a flat breastbone. You've eaten chicken, right? You know, what do you have to do to get the white meat? You have to dig it out. There's this keel. You know what that keel is for in the sternum of a bird? It makes a triangle with the muscle, and it gives the bird mechanical advantage and helps them fly. Hoatzins can fly just fine. They have a flat breastbone. Strange. This is a Hangshanornis longcresta, a beautiful bird. He's got a bill. Look at that. You know what the smudge is? That's the color of his tail feathers. That's cool. Here's Enchiornis huxleyi. This guy's got teeth. A lot of ancient birds had teeth. Okay, fine, they have teeth. But they also have beautifully symmetric flying feathers. And now, at the rear end of a chicken, think about it. Do they have a long bony tail? No, they've got this little thing called a pygostyle. It's a couple of bones. You've seen it. You've eaten chicken in Turkey, right? This little thing, this nub right at the rear end. If a bird has a tail, it's just feathers that stick off this little nub. But if a reptile has a tail, it's a long thing with bones in it. Big difference there. That guy's a bird. Oh, look at the date. That's 100 million years before the dinosaurs supposedly went extinct. Here's a brand new one. I don't even know. I've tried to pronounce that word, Cruralispinia. I did it. Look at that blob. You know what all that is? Feathers. Feathers can be preserved in rocks. If we apply this knowledge using the evolutionists' own numbers, mammals span the entire range of dinosaurs, and birds, I put a question mark there because the story we're hearing is so complex, and this guy's arguing this, and that guy's arguing that, and they're fighting with each other a lot. Because here's the problem. Those dates that I put down there for birds, these are birds, and they get back to at or before the group that supposedly evolved into birds. I was taught that birds didn't evolve till here. That maybe there's some rat-like things living with dinosaurs that evolved about here, and then when the dinosaurs went extinct, that's believed. It's not true. Yes or no? Did dinosaurs have feathers? I'm going to tell you what, I'm sitting on the fence on this. Archaeopteryx, was it a bird or a dinosaur? That's a great question. In fact, we at CMI, we argue about that. Because it looks like a little, a Maniraptian, whatever that group of dinosaurs, it looks like one of those guys. If you take away the feathers, it's hard to tell it from a dinosaur. So it was either a dinosaur with feathers or a bird with a tail. Don't know. But if we look at not the Archaeopteryx, let's look at other dinosaurs. Here's Sinosauropteryx. This is the poster child. Do you see this brown smudge down along his back? That was the thing that evolution started saying, look, dinosaurs had feathers. Someone went back and examined this fossil about 10 years after it was discovered, and this is what they said in their paper. They said, these fibrous things are underneath the animal's skin, and I quote, and it's obvious to anyone who looks. Why was it not obvious to the first person? Because they wanted to see feathers. This brand new paper, just a month or so ago, they looked at skin fossils of Tyrannosaurus rex from different places in his body, and none of those places showed any evidence of feathers. Now, I could show you a lot of other pictures of dinosaur feathers. I'm unconvinced by them. They might be true, or they might not. None of them, literally zero of them, look like the feathers that we see on real birds. So we saw all these pictures of feathers in the fossil record. We don't see anything like that on dinosaurs. We do see some fuzz. We do see some sticks. Again, you know why I'm on the fence? Because I don't care either way. Does the Bible say dinosaurs did not have feathers? No. I'll take it. I'm a scientist. I want to know. This is really cool. These are amazing animals. I want to know. Does that mean that birds group with dinosaurs? Well, maybe. We're mammals, right? We're vertebrates, right? If you want to look around the world of all different animals, what are we closest to? Chimpanzees. I don't believe we evolved from chimpanzees. I just think if you say, okay, warm-blooded, vertebrate, nurses the young, has hair, 2 legs, 2 arms, we lump with chimpanzees. I don't have any problem whatsoever if birds lump with dinosaurs. Did they evolve from dinosaurs? I do not believe so. Did dinosaurs have feathers? Maybe. One of the problems I have with the feathered dinosaur claims is almost all of them are coming from this one spot on Earth. This is a particular place in China along this road up in the mountains, and this is a little preserve they've made now, and the villagers around here are the people who discover all the feathered dinosaurs, and they sell them to this one particular scientist whose name is on every one of the papers. That's a risky scientific thing to have one person doing all the discoveries. Now, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It means we have to be careful. Okay, put all of that aside. In the next 5 minutes, I want to show you that it doesn't matter. Feathered dinosaurs or not, doesn't matter. Birds related to dinosaurs doesn't matter. Because if I can show you that dinosaur fossils are not millions of years old, then evolution is not true no matter what. These are photographs from the inside of the horn of a triceratops that were discovered in Montana. These are electron microscope pictures. These delicate bone structures, they turn to powder over time. You've seen like an old bone like in a field, right? It's hollow. All the stuff inside disintegrates quickly. That is a bone cell. These are bone cells. These are osteoblasts. See those little spikes? They break down very quickly. I'm shocked. I think that this guy died 4,500 years ago or so in Noah's flood. That's a long time. I can't leave a ham sandwich on the counter for a week before it starts turning green. Could I bury a pig in the backyard and expect to come back 100 years later and find much of my pig left? No. I'm incredulous here. This should not be true. The evolutionists said this guy died 65 to 70 million years ago. Sorry, that's not possible. This material cannot last that long, or we have to throw science out. The subject is called taphonomy, the study of how things rot. There are taphonomists, PhD taphonomists in the world. And they've been around for hundreds of years. People have been studying things rotting. It's a very important thing. You've seen CSI Miami, right? How do you know how long the person's been dead? Taphonomy. This material came from the inside of a Tyrannosaurus rex leg bone. That is flexible material, red blood cells. It still stinks. Wait a second. Is this possible? Not according to what we know about science. Again, I'm shocked. After thousands of years, is anything left? I do not believe for a second that could last for millions of years. That same laboratory produced this, and this is my field. These are dinosaur cells. Big shock. They stained the cells with a stain that only stains DNA, and it lit up what looks like the nucleus. Giant shock, because that means there's intact DNA inside dinosaur bones. And it's long DNA. This stain needs the double helix to get stuck inside of. If you don't have a double helix, the stain doesn't work. But bacteria have DNA, right? Maybe there's bacteria living inside the dinosaur. So knowing that, they use another stain that stains only a protein, and the stains for a protein bacteria don't have. But you have it, and reptiles have it. It's called a histone. It's the protein your DNA wraps around inside the nucleus. And look at that. It lit up what looks like a nucleus. So not only are there intact cells, not only the nuclei intact, but there's very good evidence there's DNA still in dinosaur bones. And this is coming from an evolutionist laboratory. That's awesome. I love it when I get to take their information and use it against them, because I don't see how it's possible that dinosaurs could have been millions of years old. Now, I'm going to do this, what we learned. I did skip a few things in my talk just to keep it shorter. But we did learn that dinosaurs tell us about God's creativity, and the kinds that He created, and the beautiful, amazing design in there. Dinosaurs also tell us about the fall, because apparently we had plant-eating animals that turned to meat-eating and started killing things that was not a part of the original creation. Dinosaurs also tell us about the flood. because we have lots and lots of dinosaur fossils that look like they were drowned. Dinosaurs also tell us, therefore, about God's judgment. But yes, they tell us about his providence, because it apparently looks like dinosaurs came off of Noah's Ark and lived with man for a while. I don't think they're alive anymore. I think they are extinct. But there's lots of evidence that we have seen them. That means they survived at least the flood. And if you put all that together, you can actually use this as a method of telling people about the gospel. Granted, I did skip a few things there, so there's a couple holes in my argument here. But all those things right there lead up to the, we were initially created good, we fell from grace, we are sinful people, we are suffering in a cursed world, and we need redemption. And that's going to be the focus of my next talk. All right, I'm going to quit now. Thank you much. Is that the end? I was going to show Creation Magazine, a couple of books. I'll do that in the next one. I'm going to end both my talks with this verse. In your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Yet do it with gentleness and respect. Notice, I didn't use any snarky, sarcastic language. I tried to stand my ground politely and confidently. We have so much information we can use to back up our faith, we don't have to run and hide. That's what I'm trying to encourage you to understand. Thank you.
All right, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to take just about a 5-minute recess. If you need to get up, stretch your legs, go to the bathroom. There's coffee and water and a few donuts left in the back, so grab that. Come back in here. We are going to start right at 11 o'clock with another song, and we're going to take up our morning offering at that time. We're going to take up another offering at the very end of the service to support Creation Ministries International. But like I said, so you guys got about 5 minutes. If you need to get up, stretch your legs, move around a little bit, get the blood flowing, and then we will welcome Dr. Carter back probably about 5 after 11.